Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. I'm Mark Owen. Indigenous people live in the heart of nature across our planet. France 24 has been to meet some of them to see how they're coping with climate change, how it's affecting their lives, how they're trying to adapt. We've been from Kenya to Panama, going via Greenland and Australia. Our reporters James André and Achraf Abid tell the stories of these people who are on the front line of this battle against the climate emergency. In this episode, 25 kilometres worth of ice is missing near a village in Greenland. The Indigenous people who hunt seal and bear are relying less and less on the traditional dogs and sleds, and now opting for motorboats. There's no need now to camp out on the ice to stock up on meat. The life of the Inuit people is changing in line with the climate emergency. James André is with us to tell us more about the report that he has produced. James, you went to film with a very specific village. Tell us why.
Now, we chose Itokotormit, because that's its name, because it's the most northern village on the eastern coast of Greenland. It's one of the most remote villages in the world. It doesn't have a hotel, it only has a guest house. It has one supermarket, and it is very, very difficult to reach. So what we were looking for was a community of Inuit people who were hunting, living on the ice, living with the ice, and depending on it to see how this ice melting was affecting them. And this is what we found in Itokotormit.
Hey, James, these images look absolutely fantastic. Let's then, with no further delay, take a look at James's report with the Inuit people when the ice melts. Let's take a look.
Mình đâu mà được học cái dạng tôi đó thân to cho tôi pin đi đập cái trái pin mình nhầm nên nhầm kinh ngàn bụi nhầm tama kem nọc kinh ngạc thì đại sĩ trong cánh trong sẽ thấy đấy không nọc bụi pin ngay xí kia không là vì qua đây tham áp bọc buông có tổng chú đi sập tù tham pin tù cái này mình đi chọn tập vui năm mình đã làm cái chuyện bị đọc tụng quên. Shit. Chỗ này cũng luôn mất đi. Làm mà ngã ở đây xong ông trong đó cả lần. Cái máy này video nặc chặt. Anh nào cái gì đấy chứ? Thế này, cái mai cái rồi chụp bụi ra, thế này quên đi này bên cái nông nani, mong beri ngi ratika, kan siapa dah? Kultur pantum opinion, kat purin dah pokat curam dah putat dah kultur juga, dah kau sorti. Upai nak kau ni mesti tak kau, nak kau ni tak kau keluar betul tomi, tak kau iam tang rupa tegang ni tengah ni mesti nutut tidak tem, tak tomi, ini orang ni kita mau dia tak ikan.
Itokotormit is one of the most remote villages on the planet. It is set at the entrance of the world's largest fjord system, the Scoresbysund. The Danish authorities founded the village in 1925 to assert sovereignty over the vast frozen emptiness of northeastern Greenland. It was initially populated with a group of Inuit hunters attracted by abundant game. The 350 residents lived blocked in the ice 9 months a year. In winter, the sun never dawns and temperatures can fall under -30 degrees. The sports hall is the main youth hangout. The community is very tight-knit. Men meet up at the football pitch 3 times a week. Christian Hammeken is an engineer working for the council. He has chosen to return to Itokotormit after 8 years spent in Denmark.
This is my home. I grew up here. When I lived down south in South Greenland and Denmark, sometimes I missed to be in the wild, where there are no sound, just sound of nature.
The only shop in town is a supermarket, operated by a state-owned franchise. It sells all types of goods, ranging from furniture to clothes and food. Fresh products are scarce. The supply chain is complex.
We have a supply ship twice a year. We order enough for the whole season. Most goods come directly with the ship, but we have to fly in the fresh food, such as fruit. It first goes on a plane, then a helicopter. That's why it's so expensive.
Prices so high, most families have no choice but to hunt or fish to get by. The fjord offers a remarkably rich wildlife that long made the fortunes of hunters. Inuta is one of the 11 last professional hunters in town. He started at a very young age and saw his activity evolve with rising temperatures and melting ice.
Now you can use boats all year round because the ice edge is so near. We no longer have thick ice. This is how climate change is affecting us. This is how we feel it. The ice is thinner.
25 years ago in this season, this very spot would have been solid ice. And Inuta would have been hunting on a dog sled. Back then, the ice stretched out 30 kilometers from Itokotormit. Entire families had to go out for days, camping out in the cold, to return with enough meat to survive.
Young people don't know how to cross the fjord on a dog sled. They don't know what's behind the mountains or further away. They haven't tried to go there. They've got no idea of the routes or of the currents. Polar bear, walrus, narwhal, seals, birds. I hunt all the animals I can find. Before the restrictions, we used to make a lot of money. Demand was high. When we sold polar bear skins to Europe, they didn't care about the price. Now we're not allowed to export anymore. We need to eat. And we need to pay the bills. The dogs need food. We have to go hunting when the weather is good to support ourselves and make a living.
On the ice, families are busy sharing nearly a ton of walrus meat. The animal was killed just a few hundred meters away.
We saw it from over there. We jumped on board the boat to hunt it. We killed it on an ice block and towed it back here.
The animal is butchered immediately before it freezes.
This walrus is really good.
Achraf is one of Itokotormit's oldest hunters. He takes his share of walrus meat back to his cabin, set on a large rock close to the ice edge.
Have you looked for bears with the binoculars?
No, not yet. It's foggy again. There's no more visibility. It's foggy. Just a few minutes ago, it was clear.
Achraf hasn't caught a polar bear this year.
I've only seen 3, a mum with 2 cubs. I don't know if young people still want to become hunters. My young daughter here wanted to be a hunter. Now she wants to be a doctor.
Because there is no doctor in Itokotormit now. She wants to help the community, but she must study first.
This year, Itokotormit hunters are allowed to kill 35 polar bears and 7 are still up for grabs. When the quota is reached, the hunters will leave the bears alone. Breaching the rules can lead to heavy fines and the authorities confiscating boats and guns. Inuit scans the horizon for prey. He would try his luck with the boat if the wind hadn't picked up, pushing drifting ice blocks big enough to make ships capsize. Last year, he spent 4 days trapped on his boat in the ice. He won't risk it again. In a few weeks, most of the ice will have melted and the fjord will be open for cruise ships to navigate. Unthinkable just a few years ago. For now, the rare tourists are flown in by helicopter. This family is from Slovakia. Martin, the seal hunter, has turned into a tour guide. He leads the group to a hot spring.
I take tourists around because it's a big supplement to my income. Hunters don't earn much. There aren't that many opportunities to make money around here.
The season's first icebreaker cruise ship is expected at the end of the month. Mitty, the head of the local tourism agency, is expecting 38 this year.
Some crews have only 50, some of them up to 300. And this summer we're expecting to have a big cruise with 2,000 people on board. It's opportunity, but if you have cruises every day in a row, like in 2 months, you have 40 cruise ships and 20 sailboats going back and in and out, and at the end it's too much sometimes.
With polar tourism on the rise and easier hunting, climate change could be seen as an economic opportunity for the Inuit people in Itokotormit. But it is also already modifying their way of life.
Our reporter James André is still with us. James, thanks for that amazing insight into these people in Greenland. It's remarkable. In the report, you say climate change is sometimes an opportunity. Tell us a bit more about that.
Now, of course, the missing ice is a tragedy for the rest of the world, but for people who live in such extreme conditions, you've got to realize that the temperatures can dip under minus 30 degrees Celsius. So when it's only minus 25, well, it does make it ever so slightly easier. Now, the fact of the matter is, yes, of course, it's easier to go out on a boat with a big powerful engine and go and hunt and then bring the food back. You don't have to camp out on the ice. Of course, that makes a big difference. But in general, it does kind of make their life easier, which of course is counterintuitive. But on the other hand, there's another thing, which is new opportunities. It means more possibilities for tourism, and that's what we saw in that report. And of course, tourism is probably going to make a difference.
How do the Inuit people in this very isolated village regard this growth in tourism? How do they feel about it?
I'd say you really have two camps. You have the camp of those who actually work with tourists, the few that arrive in Itokotormit at this stage, can speak English and can do business. But most of the people are really very weary of what's happening, because the first boats have started to arrive over the past few years because the fjord has got less ice in it, so it's easier to come with boats. And so what they see is hundreds of people just walking around the village sometimes when there's nothing really much to do in that village. Once again, there's no cafe, there's no restaurant. So people walk around, watch them live there, and this is very, very disturbing to the locals. I'll give you an example. Inuit people hate perfume. You actually have signs in the shop saying no perfume because, well, the air is so pure that it's true that any type of perfume you will smell miles away. They hate noise because they're used to utter silence and calm. So obviously, when you have 2,000 tourists stepping out of a cruise ship, well, it messes everything up, right?
James, thank you very much indeed. You can, of course, see James's report again via our website, france24.com. This is Reporters. Stay with us.